news from the president of South African, president, what's this, Athletic South Africa. Our national under 18 and 20 athletes team, they went to represent us at the Africa Athletic Championship in Zambia. It was from the 28th of April to the 3rd of May. The team dominated the championships by winning 77 medals at the championships and finishing first place. I was even watching it. We welcome these wonderful results from our young athletes and hope that they will continue to fly the South African flag high. We hope that these athletes will be well supported until they represent the country at the Olympic Games in the near future. Honorable members, in 2003, a UNESCO General Conference adopted a treaty called the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. The purpose of this convention entailed the following: to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage, to ensure respect for the intangible cultural heritage of the communities, to raise awareness at the local, national, and international levels of the importance of the intangible cultural heritage. This was to be implemented by all member states of the United Nations. We therefore have invited the department today to take us through their work when it comes to the Intangible Heritage Convention. We therefore look forward to the engagement on this important topic. With these few words, I declare this meeting open. Mind you, I'm not sure how many who are in this problem that I'm having. Sorry, I don't have networking even where I've tried to relocate. It's not stable. Like now when I'm trying to open my video, it doesn't allow, but I'm wearing my Friday netball, and then it's called, I put the rugby top track. I'm in sport today. Thank you. I declare this meeting open, and can I go to our department acting DG? Yeah, she is here. Can acting DG tell us who is here, who's not here? Together, we must do that.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Switching on my video as well.
You are lucky. Thank you.
Good morning to you, Chairperson, members, and my colleagues present in the meeting from the department. Would be myself as the acting DG. I have with me the DDG in charge of heritage promotion and preservation, Mr. Ndima. From the side of ministry, we have the Chief of Staff present in the meeting, Ms. Bakwa, and also from the side of the Office of the DG is the Director in charge of that office, Ms. Bungira Malepe. We also have from the Office of the DM, Sivuile Watani, in charge of parliamentary matters in the Office of the DM. I would indicate also that we also would have some other support staff. I'm just trying to see whether Lodwick has joined. He's the one who mainly supports us in as far as these meetings are concerned. I can't see him, but he might be here, Chair. Can I also then indicate that our ministry office has forwarded, hopefully it's been received by the Secretariat, apologies from the minister, together with apologies from the Deputy Minister, who would not be able to join today's meeting because of other commitments. Thank you very much, Chair. Chairperson, I'm hoping I was audible. I am done, Chairperson.
Okay, you were audible, yes. Can I now refer the apologies item to you, Jabu?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, everyone in the platform. Yes, Chairperson, we did receive apologies from the minister. He has indicated that he has an urgent family matter that he has to attend to. We also have an apology from the Deputy Minister, who's indicated that she is meeting with the board of Netball World Cup regarding the preparations for the World Cup, Chair. Those are the two apologies that we have, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe by you, honorable members, if you have any apology from one of us, you allow to give us that apology. Honorable members, can I present the agenda to you for adoption? Honorable Adams, Honorable Sibia.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning all on the platform. Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the agenda. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Sibia.
Morning to everyone. I'm seconding the adoption of the agenda. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. I don't see any other hand. The agenda has been adopted. Can we go now to the next item? Consideration and adoption of the 2023-24 budget. Fiona. We are waiting. Honorable members, hoping that you did get this report. We are presenting this report from the office of our conduct advisors. If members they've identified, please move. Don't be fast. Don't be fast. Yeah, as you are moving, I want the members to look and comment. Yes.
Chairperson,
Just a moment. There's somebody who's calling me. I don't see the hand.
I
Who's that?
apologize.
Oh, it's
But-
Honorable Mhlongo. No problem. No problem.
As Chair. Chair, I wonder, is Fiona just scrolling down without seeing anything? Or
No,
talking
maybe
to the-
it's maybe I did make or made confusion because I was saying they must just table and scroll, and I'm very sorry about that, because I was saying to you honorable members, hoping everybody has read the report and it must be flighted. If you want somebody to talk to it, I was not aware. I'm very sorry, honorable members, to what Honorable Mhlongo is saying. I was just saying that they must scroll and they must not be faster. I'm waiting for you, honorable members, who want that whilst we're in the middle of it, want that she must talk to it. Because when I was proposing, I was trying to assist honorable members to say that if it's in one page in the presentation, stop her and say something. Can we continue?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Chairperson?
Yes, just okay.
Mhm.
Can also thank you so much. Can also before you, Honorable Dennis, I got the message saying that Fiona was trying to talk to us. He's saying saying that I was talking, but nobody could hear me, which is saying that he's suspecting that his mic is not working. You can say something, Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to all. I just would like to know on 7 point, just need to go a little back backwards on the previous paragraph.
Backwards.
Yeah, 7, that one, Chairperson. I just want to know,
Yes.
confirm whether the committee has decided that the minister should report back not later than 31st March, it's the end of the financial year, which means it makes
It passed.
this committee will not have the opportunity to speak on matters or besides the quarterly reports, which we should at least have two quarter two. So I'm just wanted to know, was this date actually a recommendation by the committee, or is it a suggestion from somewhere? I'm not too sure. Thank you, Chairperson.
In a committee, there was a discussion, and but the way that it is put here, I don't think is correct, because in the committee, the discussion was saying that the recommendations want a report back on all our recommendations, whilst we are aware that the financial year is going to be ended at this 31st March. Maybe you are correct. It needs a return of it. The indication was there in the discussions. But today it's May. I'm not yet sure. And now we're having a problem of Fiona. I don't know whether I can speak.
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you. May I suggest that we just delete the last part of where the date
Yes,
is and just accept
the
that
date,
the minister will report back to the committee and just end it there, which then allows the committee to ask for feedback at any stage between now and the financial year. I think it leaves it a bit open. And then thank you for that, Chairperson. And then I also want to okay. Thank you for that, Chairperson. I'll wait for 7.1.3. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't see even myself, because I did forward some other amendments. Thank you. That it's nice that it's a draft report. Go on.
Sure.
Yes, Honorable Mhlongo.
Yeah. So, Honorable Dennis, I wanted to differ with you. Let's have a time frame. Maybe it's for next year. Can we do it this year in September, if not November? Because I have a problem if there's no time frame. I think that maybe the date it's March 2024, which is it's far, and then it's election year. But there must be a time frame. I'll propose September, the time frame due to, because next year in March if there's no time frame, the minister will come back to us. Now, if there's a time frame, it's better. That's my suggestion. There must be an
Honorable
ETA.
members, I don't think there's nothing wrong on the time frame, and it assists even the office of the chairperson when we're doing the program to take care of the recommendation of the committee. Thank you. Let's go on.
Chairperson, and may I ask, my hand is still up, may I ask for clarity on point 7.1.3?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I just feel that the recommendations of the AG, that we should put at least 3 or critical ones that was identified in the under that heading. It's open to interpretation of what are these recommendations. So I'm not too sure. I'm suggesting that we, at least in the report, indicates what are the serious recommendations put forward by the AG. Thank you, Chairperson.
Fiona, your hand is up. Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Fiona. I'm not sure what is going on. The hand of Fiona was up.
Chairperson,
Yes.
may I propose, if she struggle with connectivity, can't she write on a chat so that we can see what is proposals or addings or responses to the draft
But
report?
thank you, Honorable Adams. But Jabu and the rest, the proposal is clear that on the proposal of Honorable Dennis, that we all know which were those recommendations of AG that the departments must improve. In the last discussion, the majority of us, we mentioned those. So in this report, they must be in black and white. I'm suspecting there's no one is against on that, because the majority of these members, they've outlined and talked to those issues that they were raised by AG. Are we agreeing with what Honorable Dennis is saying? Honorable members?
Yes, Chair, we do agree. Sorry for not getting a hand.
Okay. Honorable Adams, Honorable Malomani.
Yes, Chair, I also agree.
Yes. In reality is that we've spoken to those. Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Jabu and the rest, we must adopt this whilst those are being inserted or noting that they must be put in black and white. Can we go on? Fiona is saying it's noting, honorable members. Okay. Let's see. Honorable members, can I say now I'm presenting the draft report from our content advisors and Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams. Honorable Zondi, Adams, Honorable Mhlongo, in that order.
Chair, thank you very much. Good morning to you and the department and the ministry. Chair, we've read all our inputs from the report that was presented to us by the department. In fact, we were satisfied, most of us, not all of us, most of us were satisfied with the budget and the program on it. I was covered by the addition by the ministry and also the commitment to deal with the matters that were a concern to some of us. However, we understood that the budget won't be enough for all the required program across the country, and we cannot expect the budget to be enough. But we're satisfied with the budget and the program presented to us, Chair. I therefore move that this draft report be adopted by the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to all on the platform. Chairperson, I wanted to second on the proposal of adoption of the draft report with the additions from Honorable Dennis and Honorable Mhlongo. Thank you on the recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I wanted to find out regarding the metrics, how do we monitor all the recommendation? I think I've been in this committee for some time. We don't see there's a trend that we recommend things and the department is not implementing it. Now, I wanted to find out, do we have any mechanism to monitor our recommendation that are implemented? And then if yes, can we have the report, how far they with the previous recommendation that we've done? Because some of them are repeat recommendation when I see them, but there's no mechanism to see if the department is implementing them.
I'm suspecting we are raising another point. You are on the adoption of the report. What you are asking, it's subject to discussions with all of us on your viewpoint. So, but now we're on the this report, which what you ask we're supposed to discuss before the drafting of the report on the day when we're discussing these recommendations together. So far, I was still on the adoption.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Mhlongo.
This draft is not our report. This is Fiona's report giving us pointers that we've raised. We've never discussed this report. This is a day that we'll discuss the report. This is a draft report from Fiona to us to get inputs and us to comment. Now, I'm saying to me, I'm not thinking that we must have a special date to discuss this. It's like, how can you have a recommendation but you don't have a time frame? It's what I was saying. How can you have a report but you don't have implementation plan? How are we going to monitor the implementation plan of the recommendation? Now, what I'm trying to say, Chair, to you, Guti, we did not have a meeting to have our input. This is the day that we have our input.
Honorable Mhlongo, point taken, but what I'm saying now, do you want that in this report we must put what we are saying? We're in the process of adopting the report. This report, when we table here, yourself, Honorable Denise, myself, we commented, but let me ask you, do you want to put this point on this draft report? Because we're in the virtue of adopting, but if we are saying whilst we are adopting, there's this thing and you want to insert in this report, you are allowed to do.
Yeah, maybe before, Chair, I need a feedback before I come up with to insert anything. I wanted to find out, to have any mechanism for us to monitor all the recommendations that we've done even before, even these ones. It's now, for an example, maybe the question is if I can get a feedback and I'll take it from there. If there's no feedback, I can come with a recommendation.
Okay. Honorable Malumane, Honorable Dennis, thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Malumane. Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. My understanding in relation to Member Sepo's point is that although we've asked for this report that there be what the contents of this report, that there is a time frame that we attach now. But generally speaking, Chairperson, the department and our committee secretariat, there should be a standard procedure of the committee's resolutions or recommendations that comes out of our minutes and then timeframes attached to it. So the way I understand, it's a very important point that Member Sepo raised. Of course, we can't just go on and make resolutions and not monitor what the feedback we must get from the department or the entities. So for me, Chairperson, it is a standard procedure that on all minutes, documents, reports, and the work that we are doing for our oversight, there must be a standard procedure of the resolutions or recommendations made by the committee, and that the department or the entities accept that they need to report on that, and that be put in a document format. That is my understanding. There should be already an administrative procedure in place to address the concern raised by Member Sepo. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Fiona.
Good morning, Chairperson. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we do.
Finally, thank you. Good morning, Chairperson and members on the platform and colleagues. Yes, thank you for allowing me to speak at this very late point in the meeting. Honorable Mhlongo is correct in saying that the department should respond, but this should also be noted that the budget vote report will be ATC'd once it's been adopted by the committee, and therefore the department should table its response. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Thank you, Honorable Fiona. Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. I'm still seeing the hands up. I'm suspecting Honorable Malomane has got a network problem.
Chair, I can hear you.
Yes, Honorable. No. Honorable members, we have taken note of
discussed and agreed upon, it will be 80.
Listen, honorable members, leave Honorable Malomani is having a problem. I'm coming back to you, honorable members, that the Honorable Zondi and Honorable...
Everything will start.
This person who's speaking must just keep quiet. I'm chairing, and I didn't give anyone the platform to talk. Honorable Adams, your hand must be lowered down. And then the only person who was on the platform, it was Honorable Mhlongo. So I don't know now whether Honorable Mhlongo still have an intake. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I think Fiona assisted us. Can the department, in other words, they have to have a metric or a document to say this were done, this were not done, this will be done on such and such a day. Yes. Now, I'm trying to say, before we adopt that, let's get a feedback, and then I'll come with a recommendation, because we cannot have, every year we have recommendations, but they're not implemented, and there's no mechanism that we can monitor if they're implemented or not, because some of the recommendations are repeats.
Honorable Mhlongo is objecting on adoption of the report. I'm putting back to you, honorable members, especially those who have proposed the adoption of the report. It's his objection of adopting this report is what we are hearing, what he is saying. So I'm seeing now another hands. Honorable Adams, Honorable Malomani.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson.
Honorable Zondi. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm not agreeing with the proposal of Honorable Mhlongo not to adopt the agenda because of recommendations that was never bring to the table of the committee. We can't now, on this point, bring up that issue of the recommendation that was never before us. Yes, we acknowledge and we hear what he is saying. It's a valid point. But on this point where we are busy with our budget votes, we can't on this morning reject this draft because of recommendations. My proposal will be that the staff get all the recommendations so far and give a time frame of a timetable to speak on the recommendations and how far it is, but not on this issue of especially because we have adopted the agenda. We are speaking on the draft and not all other recommendations. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Malomani.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to everyone. Chair, first thing, it was a draft. The draft was presented to us, and we needed to speak to the draft so that everything or anything that we want to be in the draft so that it can be adopted and becomes our report before. We needed to put maybe anything that we wanted to put. I think you gave us the time to do so, and we've done so as members that wanted to make some input or anything or any correction. And this report, it was moved for the adoption by Honorable Zondi, and then Honorable Adams seconded the adoption. So if Honorable Mhlongo is having a contract, but it was after it has been moved and supported. So I think it has been supported. And also, his question, Honorable Mhlongo, it was responded by Fiona to say this report, it will be table, or it will be 80 seats. And after the 80 seats, the department responds. If there is to us, we can do time frames and whatsoever on that thing. Thank you, Chair. I think it was adopted, it was moved and adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Zondi, thank you. Honorable Malomane.
No, Chair, thank you very much. I think I'm covered by the two speakers. Honorable Joseph made a very, in his contribution, made a very a clear proposal on the monitoring tool, the standard procedure, and Fiona responded very well. We cannot have a budget that we just adopt and listen to every a report that is coming to our way as the committee, not as a monitoring tool. We are saying as a committee, we need to have this monitoring tool and evaluation of the on the implementation of this budget. This is what we are saying, Chair. And I think the two honorable members put it correctly. I'm still maintaining that the report be adopted. Thank you.
You know, there's a hand that is always up. I'm even confused whether Honorable Mhlongo is legacy hand, because your hand is always up. Is it your legacy hand?
Chair, it's not my legacy, new hand. Chair, firstly,
it's not a new hand. You have been having your hand up, but let me give you.
Yeah. Firstly, you are putting words into my mouth. I've never said I'm objecting. I think listening is a skill. I've never used I'm objecting. I'm saying, well, how can we have recommendation every year? There's no monitoring system. Now you're putting words into my mouth. You don't know how to analyze my statement, and don't put words into my mouth. Never use that I'm objecting to the report. And Honorable Malomane, I'm allowed to raise any concern in this report, irrespective that is going to be ATC or not. And even if I was objecting, I'm allowed to object a report that is going to be ATC. But nonetheless, listening is a skill. I've never objected. Note that the DA reserved the rights on the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Listening is a skill. I am 100% knowing that, and I'm suspecting I did listen. If by putting those words you were not objecting, my apology, Honorable Mhlongo, but I've listened what you have said. So if I put the words in your mouth, my apology. I'm seeing another hand, Honorable Dennis. Okay.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Chairperson, thank you very much. I think I just want to just to repeat the last comment made by member Msepo that the DA reserves his opinion on the report. I think that's all that should be inserted now at the end. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you so much, honorable members. All the members who contributed, who put flesh in the report, even the other points which were not here, they were very important that they are put on the draft report. Now the report has been adopted, and noting the reservation of the DA. Thank you so much, honorable members. On that point, honorable members, can we go to the department in the Heritage Convention? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I go ahead, Chair?
Yes, yes, please, Acting DG.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Indeed, the department has prepared a presentation, and I was listening to you, Chairperson, in doing the opening remarks where you spoke Yes,
Yes.
yes, where you spoke about the ratification of this 2003 UNESCO Convention, and indeed, we are going to talk to that background and just go a little bit into discussion, but more importantly, the presentation also goes into the implementation plan, Chair. I would not necessarily be personally taking members through the presentation, but DDG Ndima would be doing that. I would want at this point through you, Chair, to then hand over to DDG Ndima. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Acting DG. DDG Ndima.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, honorable members of the committee, and ADG and colleagues present here. I am requesting kindly so that maybe I'm given an opportunity to share the presentation, because it's better if I'm in control of the presentation.
You can have that privilege.
Thank you very much. I think I'm in control of the presentation now. I don't know whether it is visible on the side of the honorable members of the committee.
It is.
Before I proceed.
It is.
Thank you so much. I just start with the purpose of the presentation, which is really to present to the Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Culture a proposal shared with Parliament for the ratification of 2003 UNESCO Convention on Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage. Now, going to the summary of this presentation, we are saying that this convention provides for the safeguarding, preservation and promotion of intangible cultural heritage. And this is one convention that really it's about the appreciation of our cultural diversity, but also it's about the celebration of our unique cultures all over the world. Now, what is ICH about? It is about practices, it's about representations, expressions, knowledge, skills, as well as instruments, objects, artifacts, and cultural spaces associated with communities, groups, and individuals, and recognized as part of their cultural heritage. This is the kind of heritage that is transmitted from generation to generation. And of course, it keeps evolving because it gets recreated by communities and groups in response to their environment, their interaction with nature and their history. And it provides them with a sense of identity and continuity. And now, part of the reason for the safeguarding of the ICH is the realization that a significant part of this is under threat of deterioration, disappearance, and extinction. And then among other measures, the convention obligates state parties to identify, define, and devise appropriate measures for its preservation. It encourages countries to adopt legal, technical, administrative, and financial measures to safeguard and promote ICH. But also it promotes regional, continental, and international cooperation. And then, of course, key features of the convention are that state parties must keep an updated representative list of ICH of humanity, and where applicable, a list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. And then strategic and effective management of South Africa's living heritage, because in South Africa, maybe let me just highlight this point, we call this a kind of heritage living heritage, but internationally it is referred to as intangible cultural heritage. Has a potential to promote social cohesion and nation building, thereby contributing to outcome 14. We also know that the Bill of Rights provides rights to cultural, religious, and linguistic communities to enjoy their cultural practices. It also affirms that government is committed to the cultural, social, and economic upliftment and well-being of all people without discrimination. And of course, Chapter 15 of the National Development Plan indicates that arts and cultural activities can play a major role in healing and restoring pride among South African communities. And our white paper emphasizes the importance of heritage in redressing historical inequalities, poverty eradication, employment, growth, and sustainable development. And I think I've indicated the potential of this kind of heritage in social cohesion and nation building, but also in stimulating tourism development. Some aspects of ICH, whether one talks of performances, rituals, and rites of passage, take place in a communal context. It's about collaboration and cooperation. Bonds and networks are forged. And these bonds and networks contribute to social capital and become an important reference point for individuals and groups. Now, the convention is very explicit that its implementation should take place in the context of participation by communities, groups, and non-governmental organizations. And then some of the advantages of this convention is that the country will be party to the sharing of international expertise and best practice, and see how other parts of the world are doing in the promotion and the preservation of this kind of heritage. We'll also intensify regional cooperation and integration on cultural matters. We know that we share borders with 6 countries, namely Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, and Eswatini. And this is an opportunity to begin to look at those cultural hybridities that have emerged because of this transculturation between cultures. So South Africa also shares a lot of culture and heritage with these countries, whether one talks about languages, it could be about music, dance, and other cultural forms. This also provides for countries to develop joint lists. For instance, we can, if there is something that is common between us and Lesotho that we would like to take to UNESCO to list, and we can do that. List of ICH in need of agents safeguarding those aspects of intangible cultural heritage that we feel that they are about to be extinct. We need to have that list. And why that list is important, it's because once you know that this particular kind of heritage is under threat, then you come up with means and measures to protect, to save it from total extinction. So we will use this convention to intensify regional, continental integration on arts, culture, and heritage. And we know that globalization presents unique challenges to ICH. In most instances, it increases its marginalization. Some forms of culture, such as storytelling, some skills, techniques, and performances, are on the verge of extinction. And it becomes very much important for us as a country to save those, to document those for posterity. So convention prescribes certain measures for their safeguarding, such as the requirements for national government to identify and define ICH within its territory, working with communities. It also requires that state parties develop national inventories. You need to know what you have as a country. There must be an inventory where you know what elements of intangible cultural heritage you have. And you must have national policies. Fortunately, we have our policy that was adopted, if I'm not mistaken, on intangible cultural heritage or living heritage, I think in 2018, if not 2017. So implementation will require close collaboration with other government departments that do work pertaining to ICH. I'm talking about Department of Science and Technology. I'm talking about Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, as well as the Department of Health. And of course, government, the provincial and local spheres of government have also the role of ensuring that the regulations and bylaws do create an enabling environment for the intangible cultural heritage to thrive and to be practiced. Here, honorable members, the financial implications, these are just the cost implications that we did, and it doesn't mean, and I want to underscore this point, that this is the amount of money that we will have, because we know that the fiscus is not good at the moment. But that was just arising out of the cost implications. But we will, as a country, use whatever resources that we have, however small they may be, because already, as I speak to the members of parliament, we are already implementing this even before we accede, or even before we ratify the convention. We're already documenting the living human treasures, which are people who have got rare skills in these kinds of heritage, which is intangible cultural heritage. We have produced books already about those people. And these costs are informed by a costing exercise, as I've indicated, and that the department will use its existing financial resources from National Treasury, as well as current staff component, and the work is included in the mandates and APPs of its relevant public entities. And if you see that big amount, I'm sure you would all be worried, why would you need such an amount? Here you need a lot of work, which includes research. You need to do an audit of intangible cultural heritage, including ICH in danger of disappearing. You need an inventory of ICH and IKS projects that need to document, publish, and disseminate ICH. And I want to underscore this point, because it's one thing to identify, it's one thing to document, but if you document and you don't publish and you do not disseminate, it just defeats the purpose, because the idea is to make this a very topical and very prominent kind of heritage. Publication and promotion of books on the work of living human treasures and the work of the National Intangible Cultural Heritage Authentication Panel. As required by the policy, the minister appointed a National ICH Authentication Panel of experts to advise, inform, and guide the implementation of a coordinated approach on the audit, the inventory and ICH and IKS documentation and promotion projects to be implemented by the National Heritage Council, the South African Heritage Resources Agency. So our entities as well, like the NHC and SARA, they are entities that are also supposed to be playing that role. Even our museums, wherever they are located, they need to do oral histories, they need to do research around those cultures that are living cultures of the communities in which they find themselves. So to reduce cost and duplication, the panel is also guiding partnerships with key partners such as the Department of Traditional Affairs, Science and Innovation, Basic and Higher Education, Tourism, Trade and Industry, Research Institutions, Business Arts South Africa, SABC. Now, risk mitigation. The exploitation of indigenous knowledge system of communities by companies for profit is a large risk. We know that there are people in this country who were kind of inventors of certain ICH, but they did not benefit. I just want to make an example, Honorable Chairperson. On the 28th of last month, the President of the Republic of South Africa awarded Ikamanga in gold to Solomon Linda. Solomon Linda, who is the composer of Imbube song, the song that made billions, but he died a pauper because of that kind of exploitation. And that's why it becomes very much important that there is that protection of the intellectual property of communities. So the Protection, Promotion, Development, and Management of Indigenous Knowledge Act 2019 should mitigate against this. I think this is the kind of legislative framework that has been promulgated by Science and Innovation. It was also raised by the Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries that there is inadequate participation of indigenous communities in policy discussions pertaining to the protection and promotion of the rights of indigenous communities as custodians of indigenous knowledge system, and that becomes a very important matter to do. So to mitigate against this, DEF included representatives of indigenous communities on National Bioprospecting Forum. And it's a very good practice that whenever something is done about culture of indigenous communities, they become part of that. So that if there are benefits that accrue to that, they are also benefiting of that. So what are the implications for vulnerable groups? We know that this is the kind of intangible cultural heritage that thrives largely in rural areas, largely practiced by previously marginalized groups. The ratification to the convention presents an opportunity for government to redress colonial and apartheid legacy of neglect. Implementation of measures in the convention will constructively contribute to the deepening of cultural diversity, social cohesion, and nation building. And then consultation were held with a range of stakeholders, including civil society, statutory institutions, other government departments, and practitioners in the field of ICH. First National Consultative Workshop, where over 200 representatives of the sector were unanimous that the department should proceed to accede to the convention. Also, workshop indicated that government should move faster in the safeguarding, preservation, and promotion of ICH, and more particularly those aspects that are under threat of disappearance and marginalization. And we have also sought legal opinions of consistency with domestic and international law, whether our accession to this convention would be a violation of any of our laws or our constitution. But the response that we have gotten is that it will not be. Hence, we obtained advice from the state law advisors of the Departments of Justice and Constitutional Development, Environment, Forest and Fisheries, Department of International Relations. Now, the current status, the ratification of the convention has been approved by Cabinet. We took it to Cabinet last year. And then the minister wrote to 2 houses of parliament. It is now being shared with the portfolio committee as we speak to it today. Then it will be discussed and hopefully approved by parliament, after which it will be deposited with UNESCO. So the recommendation that we're making to the portfolio committee today is for the support of this committee that this be submitted to UNESCO for ratification. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG Ndima. Honorable members, now is the time that we must engage with the presentation of department presented by DG Ndima. Let me take hands, Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams, in that order. Honorable Denise, Honorable Veronica. Yes, Honorable Zondi.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The DG in his last stanza proposed that the committee considered his report that it should be submitted. I propose that it should be submitted, and I propose that the committee take that the recommendation as supported. Thank you. But I've just one question, Chair, on the report, on the presentation. We welcome the presentation by the Chair. The presentation touched on the globalization, which increases its unique challenges on ICH. One of the leading challenges with it is the issue of migration in between our developing countries in Africa. And that we have seen for years untold suffering, in which some part continues and people dying, which make it not easy time to track generational history. Or some families get the family members buried in their country of origin. Now I want to know, Chair, what better way can the ICH get the process of repatriation of human remains and outline to families, generation, as well as communities, to processes to follow, to be able to at least deal with the aspect of getting remains to their country of origin. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi. Honorable Adams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity. And good morning once again to all on the platform. Chairperson, let me also welcome the presentation on presented by DDG Mzina. Thank you. Chairperson, I just have only one or two questions or inputs on the presentation. It is good for the convention to have measures and oblige state parties to identify, define, and devise appropriate measures for its preservation. However, it should as well ensure that it has guidelines and assists the state parties in all the necessary guidelines to ensure that this happens. At times, the obligation might be fulfilled, yet it does not yield the aspect results as to it would be wise for the convention to be able to bring assistance and guidance results. And my last one, Chairperson, there has been a realization that significant aspect of the need of safeguard ICH is because it is under threat of deterioration, disappears, and extinctions. What then are the measures made in terms of having new sites of memory that are being developed to transform the ICH heritage landscape? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. And I welcome the report. However, Chairperson, I just have a question or 2 points and then a question. I think I want to make a point that the report refers to that we must provide, or the ICH must provide a sense of identity. And whilst I welcome Act 3 of 2019 with the Khoisan, I think we are still struggling to provide direction or sense of identity. Although I know the COCTA as national has appointed a commission on Khoisan matters, but I think that is a gap there still that we as a country need to work on after the recognition of Act 3 2019. Chairperson, my question is, just wanted clarity. This information today before us, is this actually the Cabinet's report or extractions out of Cabinet's report? I wasn't too clear. And then I would also I noted, I think it was slide 12 that indicated the minister appointed authentication panel, a national ICH authentication panel. So I would like to know when was that introduced, and we just need more information on that panel that will advise and inform and guide the implementation of this program. For now, that is just my question, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Veronica.
Thank you, Chairperson, and also for the presentation. I have two questions, basically. Slide 11 on the financial implications. I definitely have concerns about the amounts that are mentioned, and I believe that the committee should get a breakdown of this. And I also agree with Honorable Dennis. Will it be possible that we maybe get the report that was presented to the Cabinet so that we can have a better understanding or a better insight? I saw on this slide that you indicated that you need to do research and then document this information. And I want to know, has no groundwork in the past been done in this regard? And also you're saying that you will use current staff. I think as it is, our department is understaffed and overburdened because they're serving in different committees, and because there's a shortage of researchers. So it looks good on paper, but I am concerned about implementation. So you can just maybe give us also an indication if any work will be created or how that will be implemented. And then on slide 14, where you mentioned, I would like you to just elaborate on that. The ratification to the convention presents an opportunity for government to redress colonial and apartheid legacy of neglect. If you can just give us better insight in that remark, because it's 29 years after the first democratic election in 1994. And I want to know, has this department then done nothing in the regard of safeguarding intangible cultural heritage? If we can just get information on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Veronica. Honorable Sibia.
Thanks, Chairperson. But my connectivity is not good. Thanks for the presentation. And my question would be, what would be the key strategies to have in this area for us?
Honorable members, she indicated about the problem of network. Maybe let's skip her. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll ask for the second bite after getting a response, because we need more information. This is a good thing that heritage cannot only be about buildings, monuments, and other objects, but I believe it's good for heritage that may not be necessarily able to put into a museum, nor nonetheless any other important things. But one of the things that Honorable Van Dijk has raised is so important. Let's get more information and the detailed budget plan, financial implication, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. May I ask, it has seemed that there has been somewhat lack of sufficient funding on the transformation of the heritage landscape. Do you not perhaps think this will affect the potential of ICH in contributing on the creation of job opportunities, tourism, development, and all other mentioned in the document? The second question that I want to ask is, I'm thanking the presentation, taking into cognizance the 2023 UNESCO Convention implementation on the participation of communities. It is important to first know and be sure if whether or not national heritage sites and resources of heritage sites are available and more accessible to our people. So far, so good. Can I go back to the department? Honorable Mhlongo, I'm seeing your hand. Okay. Back to you, Acting DG, and all the officials who are responsible for this presentation. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and also for the question. DDG Ndima will deal with the matters. All the questions raised have been taken note of. DDG, can I hand over to you again?
Thank you very much, ADG. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to honorable members of the committee. I might have not just gotten clearly the question that was asked by Honorable Zondi on globalization, because in terms of the report that we have put here, we were saying that it increases the opportunities of the marginalization of this kind of heritage, with all the cultures kind of mixing, and which is not a bad idea, by the way. But the fact is that those cultures that get affected, and they might just end up being eroded. That's why it becomes important that each community is able to protect its own cultures for continuity, so that we can always share with our children and children's children about ways of life that were being lived by our forebears. But then you spoke also, Honorable Zondi, about repatriation of human remains. That is handled differently from this, because there is another policy that the department presented to Cabinet and was accepted by Cabinet. And we are in the process of doing a plan, an implementation plan on the repatriation of human remains of those who died for our freedom outside South Africa. That plan is towards finalization and costing, so that, of course, we bring back the remains of those who fought for our freedom, and we bring about closure, among many families who are still having that pain that their loved ones were buried outside their own country. So that work is happening, and it's part of the symbolic reparations, as also outlined by the TRC. There are guidelines. Maybe let me just start by saying that we already have a policy in this country on intangible cultural heritage, but also there are international guidelines. And I must say that the international guidelines do not necessarily kind of override the South African guidelines, because we need to implement this particular policy. We need to implement this convention in accordance with the circumstances, in accordance with the will of communities of this country. And of course, also another point that I want to make is, as we talk about this intangible cultural heritage, we are only focusing on those aspects of this heritage that are in line with the Bill of Rights, that is about respect mutual respect of cultures. And the issue around assistance, when we join this particular convention, one of the benefits that we're going to have, which we do not have today, is that we could come up with projects, present them to UNESCO. We could go there as South Africa, or we can have joint projects with other countries that are neighboring us. And then we get the funding for specific projects. And of course, they look at the nature of the project, what its potential, what its impact could be for communities. Will it have impact on tourism, development, and all those kinds of things? So it is an advantage to be a member a state or to be a party to this, because if you are not, you're not going to be able to benefit from all the things that are happening there. Now, with regards to measures that need to be put in place, for instance, for those measures, for those aspects of intangible cultural heritage that are disappearing, you know, there needs to be, for instance, research which will identify those aspects of heritage. You need to create a situation where there are symposia, where there are discussions in terms of ways that need to be followed, and ultimately there needs to be documentation. You know, without taking your time, Honorable Adams, you know, I was just reading about one inscription, I think it was around 2011, where the UNESCO delegate from Peru reported what happened in his country after 2 elements were inscribed on the representative list. These 2 elements belong to small communities. For instance, in our situation, you would be talking about the Khoi and San communities. Then this person says this became a national celebration that lasted about 2 weeks, to the surprise of all those working in culture, as if Perry had won the Football World Cup. After that, there was a process of reflection nationwide. All of a sudden, universities, research centers, cultural associations, and the communities, with very little involvement from the government, organized those symposia, meetings, roundtables, workshops, in order to ensure that those aspects of culture were now being elaborated upon. So I'm just trying to show how important it is to then begin to look at those aspects of culture that are disappearing. If you list them, if you put it there, it creates interest and people begin to want to do more research, to do more publications. Now, Honorable Dennis, you spoke about the issue of identity, but you were not necessarily asking any question about the Khoi and the San and the identity. In fact, you were just making a comment, but then you went on to then asking whether this is a cabinet report. We presented this to cabinet, this particular convention and this request, because I want to also underscore this point. All that we are asking for, we are asking for the Parliament of South Africa to support that we become members to this convention, and cabinet approved that. And I know that before we came here, there was a request for the convention itself, which was also submitted for members of Parliament to also kind of browse through, just to look at what provisions are being made by that convention, which I think it's a good one. Now, with regards to the authentication panel that the minister appointed, let me just check, because it could be now 2 years. They were appointed in December 2021, and then they started working in 2022. Now, these are a group of experts who have been schooled in various areas of indigenous knowledge system, and in earlier areas of culture. And they are assisting the department in terms of how to then really start developing national inventories. Already, we have already asked the National Heritage Council to assist in the development of national inventories as part of the implementation of this particular convention. The budgets, as I did indicate, Honorable Veronica, this should not really worry. It was just those were estimates. It's not like this is the money that we're going to be using. We don't have that money, but it was just an indication that if you wanted to implement this comfortably, this is what you might want to have. But we know that we don't have that money. We will use what the money that we are using today as we document the living human treasures, as we develop national inventories. In fact, we would have liked to have more money where we work with communities, we organize a session with communities, we organize festivals with communities where they bring their cultures, where we tell stories, where we document, we do documentaries, we bring television and everything. We don't have the luxury of that. But if we had the money, we would create that environment. And that environment on its own, that vibrancy, could even lead to people wanting to participate, and even tourists knowing that maybe at this part of the year, like you would know in other parts of the country here, you'd know that sometimes in February, you go towards Emanguze, the Dembes would have the Marula festivals, you go to Limpopo, we can actually enhance those programs where it's not just about Marula, but it's about many other thriving cultures that need to be documented in those areas. So I'm sure that if you listen to this, you can just imagine how beautiful it can be, even just looking at culinary traditions, food, how the food was being prepared, what kind of food was being eaten, for what purpose, and all those kinds of things. So there's a wealth of knowledge that is out there that is just waiting for us to tap into it in order to also bring about developments in our country, because this can largely benefit the rural communities and all other communities. And yes, Honorable Veronica, we've done some work. We've done some work. I've said we've done the policy. We've started doing the documentation. We're starting to doing the national inventories. So you can see work is happening. Now, redressing colonial and apartheid past, yes, this particular work is exactly doing that, because everyone here would know that the first thing that the colonialists did and what apartheid did to this country was to destroy the cultures of indigenous communities. So it's the time now that we need to redress those things. In fact, our cultures were presented as backward, uncouth, and all those kinds of words that were being used. But these are the cultures which were being practiced by people, which they lived, but they had to be told that they had to forget about those cultures and adopt new cultures that were foreign to them. Now it is the time to correct those past imbalances. So it's a lot of work that still needs to be done. It's 30 years. 30 years is nothing to redress the imbalances that had gone over 3 centuries or more. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. There would still be a need of work that still need to be done in this particular area. And of course, Honorable Spear, you tried to speak, but you were interrupted by connectivity. The key strategies that we would have to follow here, for instance, I mean, just largely, it should be more research, because it's only through research that you would have to identify the elements of intangible cultural heritage that exist in this country. But also it is to work with the people on the ground, because we now need to move away from the colonial and apartheid era practices where people would go to communities and make judgments, very wrong judgments, because first and foremost, they didn't understand the language. They then distorted those cultures. They distorted those practices. We can't be doing that today. Today, our methodologies must actually be appropriate and must be grounded, must be organic, and take from what people believe in and from what people practice. I couldn't hear Honorable Mshongo, but I just heard a little bit about budgets, which I think that I've tried to address, that what you see there, it's not like this is what we have, or this is what we think that we're gonna have under the current circumstances. We're just sharing the cost implication exercise that we did. But we will do this work with the little that we have, using budgets that are already in existence, and which also brings me to yourself, Chairperson, the issue of lack of funding, which could be an impediment to the transformation of the heritage landscape. It is true, we do not have the money that we want to transform the heritage landscape, but our duty is to then say, within what we have, even if it means we do bit by bit, we do it on a phased-in approach, that's what we will do, because surely we're not going to be having what we want to have in order to really transform the heritage landscape. But the little that we do in our time, it should then be enough for the next generation to pick up the baton and continue with this transformation exercise, which still needs to go a long way. And the issue of sites and their accessibility to our communities, really just to indicate that there are variations here. There will be sites that are accessible to our communities by nature of their location and the easy reach within which they can go. But of course, there are those sites, for instance, if you look at Robben Island, it's not an easy site to be accessed by communities who are coming from, Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, and the like. You need to have the means to go and access them. But of course, with those sites that are closer to the communities, they do have access to those sites. So I would like to stop there for now, Honorable Chair, and then maybe if there are things that I might have left out, my colleagues are here as well, who are dealing with matters of living heritage and policy, to then just come in where they might just feel I might have left out information.
Thank you, Honorable
through you.
Thank you, Acting DG. Thank you, DG Ndima. Acting DG.
I wanted to just check quickly. I could hear that DDG was saying he couldn't hear part of the questions. One of the requests was for the detailed budget plan. I don't know whether DDG addressed it or whether we can be able to provide it afterwards. I might have missed it in the response, DDG. Through you, Chair.
DDG.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe what I might just want to indicate, Mr. Mkheti, could come in handy here in terms of the costing exercise. But I think that what we could provide is the budget plan of what we do as part of our APP when it comes to matters of living heritage. But I would also allow Mr. Mkheti to come in and maybe respond to that question.
Mkheti.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and a very good morning to members of the Portfolio Committee. I think, as Acting DG indicated, we will then submit a budget breakdown of the cost implications for the living heritage policy. And in terms of the plans, Mr. Mthembu, who is responsible for living heritage, will then speak to specific plans that they have developed for the next MTM. Thank you.
What does that mean in your response, Mr. Mfred?
No, I was just saying that we will, as Acting DG indicated, provide a detailed breakdown of the financial implications. And then my colleague, who's the director for Living Heritage, can then speak to the plans as the DDG requested. Thank you, Chair.
But what do you want us to respond if we are not having a detailed information? Acting DG, do you hear this response? As if you did come here not yet ready. As a committee, as Mr. Ndima was saying, that you are here to us to give his support. Now, if now we still have an information which is not with us, what does that mean? Acting teaching.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I was asking DDG just to clarify that one, but the understanding, Chair, is that as part of the submission that was done to Cabinet, there was a detailed post-analysis that was done, and I think that is what Pomoso is referring to, that we would like to forward that detailed plan. However, DDG perhaps might want to just come in, but we were asking that we be allowed to forward it because it's quite a detailed plan, which was part of the posting exercise, Chairperson.
Okay. Honorable members, I'm sorry to do this. Maybe we can, if we do agree, we can submit when you are doing our BRRRs. Maybe if we are feeling that we do support it. Thank you, honorable members. I'm sorry to do this. I'm seeing other hands. Thank you, Acting DG, about the response you are covering on what Mr. Ndima was saying, that you still presenting this report to, you presented this to the Cabinet. Honorable Dennis, Honorable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the second opportunity. Just for clarity, Chairperson, I asked whether this whether the minister appointed the authentication panel. I asked when, and I would also like to know who the people are serving on this panel. And the question is, did the panel contribute to the Cabinet report? Obviously, pending on when it was established. So I just wanted clarity on that, Chairperson. But also the response that we received about concerning the report, it was said that this report must ask Parliament to support SA becoming members of UNESCO, if I've heard it correctly. So my question is, are we not already member of UNESCO in various other institutions that exist, or is this just for arts and culture, our department to and our work to be part of a committee or a subcommittee at UNESCO? So I just wanted clarity on that, because I think we are already part of UNESCO.
Yeah.
And then, Chairperson, my last follow-up will just be the consultation processes that were followed prior to submitting this report to Cabinet. In other words, the affected stakeholders, because we do not want us to talk about other people and cultures and putting reports up via to Cabinet and to Parliament and then back to UNESCO without the people, the affected people. So I just wanted a little bit more background on that part, the consultation, public participation, and so on, so that we at least know that when we adopt this report, that we can send all this information back to the affected communities and groups that we are talking about here, Chairperson. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I wanted even to add more. Firstly, we cannot support this item based on, cannot sign a blank check. These are estimate finances, but it went to cabinet. There's a contradiction. There's planning cost, but they're not here with us. Now, we don't support this item based on that. And if not, I will say maybe, can they withdraw the item and they bring it back? Because at the end of the day, we cannot support just a blank check. We wanted to find out, we are members of UNESCO. Are we supported? How are we getting assistance to date? And we don't have a detailed report that was submitted, and we requested that was submitted to cabinet. And we are part of the stakeholders as this committee. Now, the consultation was not effective. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. I wanted to agree with the former speakers about the financial part, the plan that was not submitted to us or included in this presentation. If I may propose that they go back and bring us the full report for us to support the presentation. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. The other members, they must lower their hands in order that they must not go back to themselves. Honorable Dennis, Honorable Mhlongo, your hand is still up. Acting DG, we are back to you.
Thanks, Chairperson. Again, DDG would lead on that one. Thanks, through you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ADG, and thank you, Chairperson. The question about the appointment of the authentication panel, I think I tried to respond to it to say that this was appointed by the minister in December 2021, and they started working 2022. And of course, they were appointed after our policy had been already done, the policy on living heritage. All that they are helping us with now is to then assist us in terms of how best we can implement our national policy on living heritage, or our national policy on intangible cultural heritage. And the question about whether we are not members of UNESCO, yes, we are members of UNESCO, but here we are talking about ratifying a specific convention. For instance, let me make an example. We're a member of UNESCO. We have ratified Convention on Cultural Diversity in 2005. We ratified the World Heritage Convention on Heritage on World Heritage Sites, I think in 1999. But we have not ratified this one. We're members of UNESCO, but we're not members to this convention. And what we are here to ask for is to be members to this convention, so that we can also benefit from the international best practice when it comes to the implementation of intangible cultural heritage. And I just think that, let me clarify that. And now, when it comes to consultation, there was wide consultation, and this consultation were done in various provinces with various communities. So consultation will always be a question in terms of how far do you go. But the issue here is that consultation was done with various communities, different provinces. Maybe also let me clarify, we were not coming here to present, because there's no monies here that need to be gotten out of this process. We are only wanting to be members to this. all that we can share that information, but this was just a cost estimate, which was saying, if you want to maybe implement this, this is what you could. So just to get a sense that now maybe we want you to sign a blank check, that is totally incorrect. There's no money to be gotten here. We just requesting this committee to allow us to be members of the convention so that we can also be part of the world community in dealing with this matter, so that we can also maybe present our own proposals once we have identified projects that we think maybe the world can help us on. But we will indeed provide that information that is required by the committee. But I still want to really say all that we are asking for, help us to become the members of the world community in dealing with matters of intangible cultural heritage. As I speak, we are outside that community. As I speak, we don't have a word to say because we are observers. We can't even speak on these matters. So that's the point that I'm just trying to make as cogently as I can. Thank you.
You know, Mr. Ndima, you come at the end tail about this clarification. I'm suspecting now even the members, you are giving a greener light because we are aware that we are the members of UNESCO. But when you presented, you didn't indicate that you want us to ratify. And ratification, you started being a member of UNESCO, and then there comes ratification. So surely, even myself, when I was talking about this cabinet presentation, it was not clear whether we were still applying, but you responded to Honorable Denise. According to us, we know that we are members of the UNESCO. So once the department want a ratification, that's where I'm clear that we do want that it must be ratified in order that we must not be outside. I'm seeing other hands now that are up. Now I'm even myself, I'm clear now what is it that we're dealing with it. When acting DG is saying, DDG, can you give clarity? Then I was not having a clarity. And when you're presenting initially, you presented as if we still want to join when we're talking about the budget. So I want to clarify myself, and as I'm going to give members to say something, I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Sebia, Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams.
Thanks, Chairperson. Without wasting the time, because we are the members, I think there was a recommendation. I think I'm supporting to take a recommendation as it is. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sebia. Honorable, who's next? Honorable Zondi.
Yes, Chair. Before I made a contribution, Chair, I requested that the committee support the proposal. I still maintain that, Chair, that we support the proposal. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Adams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, you are spot on. Myself, I'm very clear now after Mr. Ndima explained it clearly to us now. So I also support the clarity that he give us, that we support what he have presented to us. I thank you.
Honorable members, I don't see any other hands. I'm taking that now out of the club. Oh, Honorable Mhlongo.
So we're still not going to sign a blank check. Please note our objection to the item, but note our objection because we need details, the no financials. Note our objection. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, this item today made us to seek clarifications. Those who are happy with the clarification, they are supporting this presentation, and Honorable Mhlongo presenting us in the committee as a member of DA. We are noting the objection of the DA. Honorable members, Acting DG, Honorable Ndima, can we take this opportunity to thank you to come and clarify the gray part of us, those who were not yet understanding this presentation, what is it for? So thank you for your patience to listen and to take us through. Acting DG, can you be released in order that now we must deal with our own issues, the question of minutes?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to the members. We will then leave the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, the next item on the agenda, it's minutes. We have about 3 sets of minutes. Can we now go to 18th April and then can oh, you're too fast. Okay, 18th, let's look at these minutes. Yes, I'm presenting to you, honorable members. Can honorable members adopt the minutes? Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable Sondi, Honorable Sibia. Honorable Sondi.
Thank you, Chair. I move that to adopt the meaning of the 18th of April. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia.
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm seconding the adoption of the meeting minutes as it is. Thanks, Chairperson.
I would love that honorable members, they must lower their hands I've been saying this of the legacy hands. The next set of minutes, the second ones of which date? It's 19. Okay. Honorable members, it was a long day, and can I also thank the members on that day and the staff to craft these long minutes of that day. Can I ask honorable members, I'll leave the legacy hand to adopt these minutes. Member Resmia.
Thanks, Chairperson. I think the minutes should be taken as a true reflection, so I'm proposing the adoption of these minutes as it is. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sebia. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I second on the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Minutes are being adopted, honorable members. Thank you so much. Let's go to the last set of minutes. Are we not? Yes. Oh, Honorable Mhlongo's hand have been since on the chat. So even if I called him, it was like this since in the morning, because I've been trying that. He must lower his hands. The hand is still here. Maybe honorable members who can call him to assist on this legacy hand. The last set of minutes. Thank you, honorable members. Can I now present these minutes and asking yourselves to adopt? I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Zondi and Honorable Sibia. Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minute on the 21st of April. Thanks.
Honorable
Thanks,
Sibia.
Chairperson. Thanks,
Yes.
Chairperson. Yes, I'm seconding the adoption of the minutes. Thanks.
I'm seeing, Honorable Dennis.
Chairperson, yeah, thank you. Chairperson, I've tried to phone Member Sebo, but he's not picking up now. But all I wanted just to say to our staff, I appreciate the work as supporting your point, Chairperson, particularly in the figures and percentage, Chairperson, because there are times when we need to be clear, it's either millions or billions. So I am happy that that staff is taking care of that, because it's not easy to remember all those figures and percentages when we deal with minutes afterwards. But I do appreciate the work of the staff. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable members, the last minutes have been adopted. Let me also again to thank every member of this committee who every Fridays you are taking Fridays as working days, and your contribution, your presence in this committee means a lot, honorable members, and the engagement of leadership in this committee. I do appreciate because everyone, we don't just rubber stamp, we engage and we reach consensus when it comes to that. To me as a chairperson, it gives me encouragement of working with this leadership of this committee, committee at large. So thank you so much. We are going to meet each other on the 9th during the debate. We must not forget also that on the 19th we have been granted a physical attendance, and I'm suspecting on that day we can take a photo of our t-shirts, that we must all wear t-shirts. If there are those who doesn't have t-shirts, they must also knock again to the ministry, in order that for that day we must be a Netball Friday. Thank you so much. The meeting is closed with this legacy hand.